host, Darth Yacker. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Caldwell. Also joining us tonight is Keith Green with the Inshore Fishing Association. Keith is here with us tonight, and he's going to talk about the IFA tournaments and format, as well as the upcoming IFA tournament we have here in Louisiana. IFA has two tournaments that they're having this weekend in Louisiana, out of Lafitte, Louisiana. The first one is going to be a boat tournament on Saturday. The second one will be a kayak tournament on Sunday. So obviously we're going to be focusing on the kayak tournament, but we will talk a little bit about the boat tournament, as we know that some of our members like to fish both tournaments. Keith, I'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight.
You bet, man. Glad to be here.
All right. Just a reminder to everyone, registration for Trout Challenge is open. The tournament's less than 2 weeks away, a week from this Saturday, so make sure to register soon. Just a little preview for next week. Our episode will focus entirely on Trout Challenge. We're going to discuss the rules and the format, and also highlight some areas to fish for some newcomers or for just people looking for some tips on the tournament. Okay, switching over to Keith. Keith, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we were talking earlier in the podcast earlier before we got on, and you actually live in Arkansas. Is that right?
You bet. You bet. A good ways from you guys up there. Live in Southwest Arkansas. It's probably about 8.5 hours down there to you guys, and looking forward to coming down this weekend, getting me some crawfish and some good food.
And crawfish are running real good right now. I've had them 4 or 5 times already this year with this kind of mild winter we've had. It's been pretty good. So what city do you live in Arkansas?
It's a little town called Arkadelphia, but that's where I grew up and lived pretty much my whole life right around here. And grew up fishing. I grew up in the bass world. My dad was a professional bass fisherman. He was Ricky Green. He fished for years, and I fished professionally before I had twin girls about 17 years ago. So I kind of got out of that full-time fishing once they came along, and just kind of now I'm on the other side of it, so it's pretty neat. But bass fishing is kind of what I grew up in, but I've always been red fishing also with my dad over the years. We came to Louisiana quite a bit growing up, so I love it too.
Now, I understand that you're sitting in Steve Lassard's trophy room. Is that correct?
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? He's pretty accomplished. He's caught a lot of fish, I'll tell you that. This is my second year with the IFA, but I've already known his name a couple times.
Absolutely. But those look like some bass behind you and some plaques that obviously you've probably won in some tournaments, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's just a few. But my dad has a lot more than that than I did. But, we won a lot of tournaments and won a lot of stuff up in this part of the world. But I never got to really fish in the redfish tournaments or anything like that. But after getting involved with the IFA, I mean, it's a great program, and you can win a lot of money. And we give a boat away every time the boater championship, and then of course the kayak at the end of the year we give that Hobie away. So there's a lot of good stuff in the redfish division, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that I think this is your second year running the IFA tournaments. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. And so, what else? You also run some other tournaments. Is that right?
Yes, I have a Arkansas Bass Team Trail. It's a team tournament. The guys fish up here, and we go all over the state of Arkansas. Basically, we have 6 to 8 events per year. So I'm doing the IFA also. So it's putting me around 20, 22 tournaments a year that I'm running. So that's pretty much. We were talking about it a little while ago. About all I do anymore.
And that's a full-time job for sure. I know we run 7 tournaments a year, and certainly it takes up a lot of our time as well, even though I think all of us work full-time jobs and basically spend the nights and weekends putting together those tournaments. How did you get started with IFA?
It just over the years being in the fishing business, I fished a lot of tournaments up here, and actually the director that used to run our BFLs and FLW bass events up here, Anthony Wright, was a guy that I've known pretty much all my life, and he runs the walleye division, the Allegiant Bass Series that we also do through our company. So had an opening come up a couple years ago. Another friend of mine, actually Eric, you might have met him before, but Eric Shelby was the director before me, and he lives right up the road in Benton, Arkansas. It's kind of a weird deal, but Eric got an opportunity to do another job, and Anthony knew he needed a tournament director, and he knew I had some experience in the bass fishing world. So just gave me a call one day, and it all worked out. I was actually selling lumber as a lumber wholesaler, and he knew I'd been looking for something else to do. So when the opportunity came up, he gave me a call, and I jumped on it.
It's a lot of fun. Working with a lot of these guys. I know just doing the tournaments, being a tournament director with Bayou Coast, getting to recognize the faces. You'll see them over and over the years again. And it'll take me a couple of years to learn everybody's names, but you finally start running the names with the faces, and you make a lot of good friends. So I'm sure doing what you do, you're going to make a lot of friends all over the country. Actually,
I do. I enjoy, and just because you guys are talking to, but Louisiana's just been a big help to me. Those guys are always helpful and always enjoy coming down there. I've met a lot of good friends down there over the years. I know Dufrans and several of the other guys that are from that area down in there, and just been a good time. Like talking about, you get to meet a lot of people, do a lot of things. As you talk about working full time doing, but setting up the venues, getting the scheduling, that's all the part that keeps you busy throughout the year. And in the tournaments, really, the tournaments I enjoy because that's the fun part of getting to see the guys again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like practicing all week in football and finally getting to play the game on Sunday. That's the best part of the part of the job. Especially for something like this, seeing the people come in. Now, I understand the IFA. Is it affiliated with any other companies, or is it just its own standalone type deal?
Yeah, it's been the Cabela's. It's been their major sponsor over the years. But as Bass Pro bought Cabela's, now it's branded together. Bass Pro and Cabela's actually kind of own the IFA, logo type stuff. So we're all one big family now, IFA, and then we're branded together. So yeah, we've definitely added in this last year and starting to pick up momentum with them and gain some more sponsorship. And I think it's just a good thing to come. I know being involved with Bass Pro is never a bad thing. Those guys are outdoorsmen and they're for us. And Johnny Morris, I've actually known Johnny pretty much my whole life because my dad was a pioneer in the bass fishing. Johnny was too. That they met, they knew each other a long time. So yeah, it's good tie-in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know our club, Bayou Coast, actually is sponsored by Cabela's, and then when Bass Pro came in and took over Cabela's, Bass Pro is now a sponsor, and they've been very good to the club, giving us a lot of good prizes over the year. Really helped support us, as I'm sure our members do them. It's a great place to go. Whenever I can stop by, I like to go into Cabela's. It's on my way a lot of times, and it's hard not to stop by. And if you stop by, it's one of those places you're going to buy something. You just can't go in there and not buy anything.
That's right. It's hard to just walk around in there. They got it.
There's something in there for everyone, as I always like to think.
That's right.
So I know that the boat division's been around a little bit longer than the kayak division. Any idea how long the kayak division of the IFA has been up and running?
Yeah, I was kind of looking back, like I say, I'm just the second year in here, but I know, the boater stuff got started back in 2000, 2001, so it's about 17, 18 years old. Kayak, I'm not sure exact, to be honest. I'm going to say pretty early on. I would say 7 or 8, 8 or 9, 2008 or 9. I'm not for sure, but I know it's been going on a pretty good while. And I've seen, I look back and some of the past champions and stuff, trying to figure out when it started exactly. And never really said on the information I was looking at, but yeah, they've been doing it a long time, and I know that they've had a lot of participation over the years, and it's grown, and then it gets smaller sometimes, and just depending on where we're going, sometimes we'll have, I know in Jacksonville, Florida, we just got back, we had around 50 kayaks in it, but last year we had 75 kayaks over there. So, sometimes timing and just when you're having your tournaments. I know when I'm talking about timing, this one that we're coming up on here, I'm not from Louisiana, so don't hold it against me, guys, having it this weekend. I know there's one going on down there, but
it's not your fault. It's not like the 4th of July. Mardi Gras changes every year. You know, 1 year it's February, 1 year it's in March. You just never know. You have to. It's not something that would come to mind, I think, for people out of state. But bring up a good point. You were talking about having a tournament in Jacksonville. What states does the IFA operate out of?
Okay, so we go to South Carolina. We'll go up there. Then we go to Florida. We have 2 divisions in Florida. Have a east and a west. We'll fish Jacksonville and New Smyrna, and then we'll also fish Punta Gorda and Ruskin this year. And then we have Louisiana division where we'll fish Lafitte and Houma, and then Texas division we'll fish Port Aransas and Corpus Christi. So 10 tournaments throughout the year, 5 different divisions. Just have 2 in Florida.
So 4 states: South Carolina, Texas, Louisiana, and Florida. In Florida, you have 2 divisions, with it being the east and west side. I've always wanted to go over to Florida and fish, one of those tournaments, but I know it's parts of that Florida, when you get down there, are a really long run from Louisiana. Do y'all ever do any tournaments out that Panhandle section? Panama City, Pensacola.
Just looking back, I'm like I say, just getting going. Over the years, I think they did have some throughout those areas. But I'd say the last 4 or 5 years, they hadn't had many. But we're always looking to expand and do things differently. So I was really planning on one up in that Panhandle area this year, but with the storms we got last year, I was really looking right there around Panama City, and I know they're just been devastated in that area. So, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, because I'm looking to do things a little different sometimes. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be back. We used to go there.
No, absolutely. I think, because you don't have a tournament in Mississippi or one in Alabama, right, and you can really draw from actually Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and those Panhandle guys.
So how would one go about? When we got one coming up here in Lafitte this weekend, how would you go about registering for that tournament?
Yeah, you can hop online on the IFA website. Just go in there and type in IFA Kayak, and it'll probably pop up pretty quick on there. And you can get online. You can sign up. It's a $50 entry fee for the event. Also a $10 membership. So you got $60. You can be registered. You can do it online, and then we'll do the captain's meeting there on the Saturday night. But and then also in that, we also do an Angler's Advantage program, and we might talk a little bit about that down the road here. It's another $50 if you want to get it. It's like a side pot. We pay 100% back to that, so anybody can get in it, and whoever finishes, you've got 10 guys in it, and we'll pay out the 100%. We'll just divide it up equally. The winner will get a little more, and we'll just divide it up. But just the guys that are in the Angler's Advantage are competing for that.
Okay. And I know there are some specific rules that you guys have that may be allowed in other tournaments, but are not allowed in the IFA. Some of them that I've run across or that I've been told about include you're not allowed to troll in an IFA tournament, correctly?
That's correct.
Can't pull a line behind you.
That's right.
Okay. Obviously, there's no live bait allowed.
That's all right.
In a kayak tournament, there's no motorized vessels allowed. You can't have a trolling motor or anything of that nature, right?
No. Paddle or foot power.
And I think one line in the water at a time.
Yeah, just got to retrieve that cast. If you make a cast, then you got to make sure you get that one back in before you make another cast.
I've had as many as 3 lines in the water at a time out of kayak, just for some odd reason or another,
So. It happens. In the panic in the moment. It happens sometimes when you need
panic in the moment. You're fishing for one species.
I'm not saying that's a good rule, but I'm just saying that's a rule.
That's a rule. That's fair. We just want to make sure everyone follows the rules here. So I know there's an entry fee for, I think, what is it, $50 for the tournament?
50. Yeah, 50 for that, and then you got a $10 membership deal on the membership.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the Angler Advantage, what exactly that is.
Yeah, the Angler Advantage is just really a side pot. We pay back 100% on it. The guys that sign up, usually it just depends on who's fishing and how many guys get in the pot. But, that side pot can get up there pretty good for these events, $50, and there may be 10, 15 guys, maybe 20 that'll get into it. So, and we divide that money up on a percentage basis and pay it back to 100. Like I say, 100% of that goes back to the anglers. It's just a little fun side pot.
Okay, so that's 100% payout of what's taken in.
Yes, yeah. So they get it all back. It's just a lot of the guys like to do it for fun and make it a little bit more worth their while. We pay out $1,000 in our tournament for first place every time, but as we pay down our list, it's basically one payout for every 5 people that enter it. So we get 50 boats, we'll pay out 10 places.
Oh wow, okay. So, but there's a minimum payout of $1,000.
$1,000, yeah, first place.
Okay, and then for every 5 person, there's a payout.
Yeah.
Okay, so for 10 people, you'd have.
Yeah,
2.
You can look on our website there, and there'll be an actual payout scale on a 50-boat tournament. And you kind of adjust it down. If we don't get the 50, we'll pay 9 places. So just we have to. That's a sliding scale on that, but that's kind of a point to look at. All
right. So this year, I understand Lafitte, the anglers are going to be targeting sheephead. Is that right?
Not this time.
Not sheephead. Okay, so this tournament.
I'll take all that you get, and I'll eat them for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, are the fish the same in all the tournaments that everybody's targeting?
Yes, in our IFA, we target one redfish and one trout at each event for per day. So you're taking biggest redfish you can catch is up to 45 inches. The ruler we give you will be 45 inches long. So that's the maximum on that. If you catch a 46, we're still going to give you the 45 inch. And then, of course, the biggest trout. And just the two together gives you your total. And, a lot of times we'll have ties. And the way that we break our ties is that so from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you're back in. 1 o'clock being the first time you can check back in, that's the tiebreaker. The first one in on the time scale, if you tie with another guy that comes in at 2:30 and you came in at 1, then your 1 o'clock's gonna be your win.
Okay, so the first one in is the tiebreaker, the earlier way in.
And I've seen it happen.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. So this is a catch photo release tournament, correct?
That is correct. That's correct.
Okay,
so we give you a token.
So you get a token at the captain's meeting.
Yeah, you get a token, and we give you the measuring board, the IFA measuring board that we give to everybody that's going to be involved. So we give those things out. Talk about it's real important in the photo side of it to make sure we're trying to get you the most inches that you can get. So if you want to pinch that tail or put a rubber band on it and get as long as it can be, that's what we're looking for. We're not here to shortchange anybody. So the picture is the most important thing. It's the only thing we have to go by. So. And I know it's hard. I see so many pictures in the kayaks where the guys are fighting the wind and the elements and trying to get a good picture. And just make that's one of the most important things I've seen is just having that good picture. It's going to make all the difference in the world.
Okay, just real quick, I know Tyler's got a few questions. I'm going to put it over to him in just a second. But before we get off that subject, we're talking about pictures. How should the pictures be taken? Should they? Can you use a cell phone to take the pictures?
Yes. What we do is when you come in that afternoon, you take your cell phone pictures on your cell phone. You can also use a camera with a card in it, and you'll either turn the card into us that afternoon, or you just bring your camera in, and we'll scroll through your pictures and look at. Usually it'll be in an album or however you save it. We can find them pretty much easy every time, but we'll look at those pictures on there. On the cell phone is probably the safest way, but sometimes you lose your cell phone, so it's not a bad idea. If you have both, it's a good idea to take them both.
So I'll literally, if I show up with, I say I catch a fish, I'm lucky enough to catch a red, bring it over to you. I'll just hand you my cell phone, and you'll go through the pictures on my cell phone to get that.
And we just want to see pictures of the fish. So
gotcha. Tyler, you said there were some questions being asked.
Yeah, I know some of the other CPR tournaments I've fished, they'll require like a timestamp on the picture. On cell phones, you can turn GPS data on and off. Some people want to make sure you caught your fish in an area that was actually within the boundaries. Do y'all look for anything like that?
We're good on the GPS side. We don't usually worry too much about that. Our boundaries are pretty open on ours. So, but now the timestamp is real important on the takeoff in the morning because I'll give and I haven't looked at my times yet, but say we're gonna first lines, or you can push off the bank at 6:50. Just a few minutes before that, take a takeoff, put in picture with your kayak. It's got to show up your kayak, your token, and then your ruler, your measuring board. They all have to be in the picture when you take off that morning. And like I say, you can be standing there with your kayak sitting on the bank ready to push off, but we're not going to push off till 6:50. That's just a mark that I'm talking about, the 6:50. But that's how we'll do the takeoff.
Right. So that's a good point. Is that you have to take a picture of your kayak launched in the water right at launch time.
Yeah, right there.
That way you can see that they hadn't left the shoreline.
That's right.
Prior to fishing time.
That's right. Yeah, and one thing I want to mention too, I didn't talk about this at all, but we also have a junior angler division, and some places we end up not having a junior angler, but be sure if you've got guys in the club that's got children and kids, and the parent or guardian's got a sign for them, but we do encourage the junior anglers to come out, and we'll award a prize. It'll be a plaque, and and so be sure you do that if you got any junior anglers that are interested. We'd love to have them.
No, that's fantastic. We do have a couple of junior anglers, but I think with the IFA, it gets pretty competitive. And a lot of the guys out there are looking to score big on those tournaments. I mean, it's a good payout, $1,000 minimum. So, they're certainly doing their best. But that is a good point. So you're going to have, when you come in to weigh in your fish, you're going to have to give them your your picture of your launch with your token and your kayak and your measuring board, and then you're gonna have to give them a picture of your fish.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Now, is there any boundaries for these tournaments as far as do they have to fish certain areas?
I've seen we have had boundaries in the past. I don't think this one is pretty open. Sometimes there are boundaries that will cut off, but I haven't seen if it's not listed on our website. And I looked earlier. I didn't see anything listed on there for this event. So
Yeah, when you say open, you're referring to Louisiana waters only.
Yes. Yeah, just Louisiana. I know some guys will make a long drive. Some guys won't go very far, but I know there's guys that'll make a pretty good drive just to catch that big one. They know where they feel at home in certain places, and I know that happens with a lot of guys. And even in the boat tournaments, they make those long runs to fish where they're familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's discuss the Lafitte tournament you've got coming up. It's this Saturday for the boat tournament and this Sunday for the kayak tournament. So the captain's meeting, that's generally a requirement, correct, for everybody fishing the tournament?
Yeah, okay. We really encourage it. Just there's a couple of reasons. Of course, we want to support the areas that's supporting us, but also just getting that information firsthand and being able to ask questions. I know it's a good thing that we're doing this tonight, and a lot of people get their questions answered tonight. But I will go over the rules in a little more detail when we do that tournament. And Mike is he handles the photography side of it, and he'll give you a little pinpoint things that'll help out on making better pictures and taking care of it. And I'm trying to hit the high points tonight, but you get in those situations where you have somebody that'll ask a question, and I'll give the answer, and everybody will hear the answer. And if you're not at the captain's meeting, you won't hear that answer. You may inadvertently break a rule, and that's one of the major things about having a meeting. And we're trying to encourage it, but we also know the circumstances that we're under this weekend. So we're going to try to work around that the best we can. I'll leave my cell phone number with you guys here at the end of the thing, and anybody needs to talk to me about it. We'll try to make it work for everybody this weekend, because I know we're up against some things with the parades and just the traffic that we're going to be getting into on that Saturday night. I know it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, Brandon Barton's got a question here in the group. He wants to know that if he takes a picture of himself stuck in Mardi Gras traffic on Sunday, can he be late to the weigh-in?
No, I can't do that. That's a good question, but yeah, it's the rules. You got to be back by that 3 o'clock. We've had guys stuck on ferries. We've had guys stuck across the bridges, just in wrecks, and it's just not personally in the wrecks, but just involved in a traffic accident. They got held up in.
Tyler, wasn't that Brandon last year that got stuck in the mud and he had to walk across all that mud a mile or something?
I think so. I remember seeing those pictures.
I do too. So Brandon, if you can get through a mile of mud, you can get through New Orleans traffic for Mardi Gras. Captain's meeting, is it? Where's it located at?
It'll be at John Lafitte Harbor there in Lafitte down at we're going to have it at the pavilion there. If you guys are familiar with that, we're going to do pretty much our weigh-in for our boat tournament pavilion, and we'll have our trailer set up there, and we'll just end up doing our captain's meeting for the kayak event. It'll be registration from 6 to 7 on Saturday night, and then 7 o'clock will be the captain's meeting. And guys, really, the captain's meeting will last about 20 minutes. I do it quick. I talk quick and get the guys out there just as quickly as I can. But like I said, if there's an issue and you can't make it, just try to get in touch with me, and we're going to try to work things out this weekend, because we know what we're faced with.
Yeah. So I just actually got a question from Terry Pham. He asked me, are popping corks and gulp allowed?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure.
We encourage the gulp, because that's a good point. You brought that up, because we're sponsored by Berkeley Gulp, Penn, and Spiderwire, and they also do some contingency programs for us. And so if you catch the biggest redfish this weekend, and you catch it on a gulp, and you say so when you come up and talk to me at the awards presentation, you get $100 credit on their website for the Berkeley Gulp for the biggest red. Also, if you catch the biggest trout, same thing, $100 credit on their website. And then Penn Reel, if you come do the same, if you catch the big red on a Penn Reel, say so on stage when you're talking to me, you get $300 credit on the website. So,
wow.
Yeah, good contingencies there. And then also the Spiderwire, the highest finisher, the mentioned on stage that they were using Spiderwire, gets a boat full of Spiderwire freight. So
those are fantastic prizes. I know I've got a couple of pin reels that we've had. We've also got Penn and Gerald Gaspard have been good enough with Pure Fishing to provide us some good prizes for our club. They're always very generous, and I know certainly we use a lot of their products. Now, the weigh-in for this tournament is it from 2 to 3?
It'll be from 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
You'll be able to check back in at 1, and like I say, that's how our tiebreaker is going to go. So if you think you've got some real quality fish, and you can make it back, you're going to need to get back quickly, and then up to 3 o'clock, we really need to be standing in line there with us at 3 o'clock.
Okay. Now, aside from this tournament, I know IFA has at least one other tournament in Louisiana this year during during the regular series.
Right. Yeah, we have. I believe July 28th at Houma is going to be our other event.
Okay. Now, and that'll be a similar type format: one redfish, one trout.
Yep.
Combined measurement.
Do the same thing, and that if you fish 2 events, that'll qualify you for the championship, which will be in Grand Isle. That'll be September 13th and 14th. That's a 2-day event down there. So, and you don't have to fish 2 events in one division. If you end up you're in Florida or somewhere else and you want to fish another one, just as long as you get in 2 events.
Okay. And that brings up a good point. Now, we talked earlier that you do have a championship tournament, correct?
Oh, yes.
All right. And this year, that championship tournament is going to be out of Grand Isle, Louisiana?
Yeah, Grand Isle. Yep.
Okay. And do you have the dates for the championship set yet?
Yeah, September 13th and 14th.
Okay. Now, how does someone qualify for the championship?
Yep. So, like I say, if you fish in 2 events, you're qualified basically to come to the championship. A lot of the guys are vying for the Angler of the Year, the overall Angler of the Year. So the way we do that is we have the Louisiana division starting this weekend. You'll have first place will get 200 points, second place 199, and so forth on down the line. So after the 2 events in Louisiana, you'll have a points leader that's going to be coming to the championship, and he'll be your divisional points leader. And at that tournament, the points are going to carry over into the championship. So you have to do well in the champ, but you're going to have the opportunity to win overall Angler of the Year, which is $1,000 on top of if you happen to win that event, you'd also win the Hobie Kayak. So overall Angler of the Year is going to get $1,000 extra at the end of the day. And like I said, you fish your 2 events in your division, you're the highest point leader there. Then you come down to the championship and you finish the highest there and you continue the points. But, you can be in the top 5 or 6 coming into that championship. And with those championship points still counting towards Angler of the Year, you can still win overall Angler of the Year. So,
okay.
So it kind of opens the door. We had pretty close last year. We had a lot of anglers. It came down to the last, few minutes of the afternoon to see who won last year.
So you can't go and say fish 2 tournaments in Louisiana and go fish some tournaments in Florida and add those up. You can only count your 2 tournaments, right?
Yeah, just your 2 tournaments in your division that you're going to fish. That's how you're. Like I said, now you can fish one in Florida and one in Louisiana and just qualify for the championship. But if you're really into the Angler of the Year race and trying to win that divisional points and AOI of the year, overall of the year, you got to pretty much stay within your division.
Okay, so for the 2-day tournament, do they take your total measurements for both days and add them together, or is it your best day?
Yeah, both days.
Okay. And I know last year I heard some good things about the tournament being in Grand Isle. I heard there were a lot of bull reds caught.
Oh yeah. You might can catch it on the Pursuit channel and different things, but we film that one every year. It's on a lot of different TV stations and outdoor networks, and they were hooking up pretty often out there on the reds as they were schools. They were coming through the passes. All the guys were catching a bunch of them.
Okay, no. So for Angler of the Year, we talked briefly about it. It's per your division plus the championship. How are the points calculated for that? Is that something I can read about on your website, or is it first place is given so many points? How does that work?
It'll be first place you get 200 points, and then 199 for second, and 198 for third. So it just kind of increments down that way, and then it'll just be your 2 tournaments together, and then plus your last tournament to figure out who's accumulated the most overall points throughout the whole year.
Okay, yeah. So it works a lot like our Angler of the Year setup is formatted.
I got a good list of questions over here.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler. Take over.
So we got one from Ty Hibbs, which I think we covered. He just got in, so he just wants to make sure that there are no areas that are off limits this year. He knows the past couple years you could fish either the east or the west side of the river, so he just wants to make sure that everything's open. Right?
I'll double check it, but if you'll go on our website, if there's a division, if there's a boundary, it'll have to be listed on our website. And I looked earlier and I didn't see one, but if you want to hop on the website and check on there, Mike Lott is the guy that usually puts all that up for us. So yeah, you can check on there. If it's not on the website, you're pretty much open. And state and federal, areas that you can't fish are, of course, that you got to abide by state law.
Right. And then we have another guy who says he's new to IFA tournaments, has a few questions. One is, when can we launch and start fishing? I think so that's going to be announced at the captain's meeting. It'll be safe light or.
Yeah, it's usually safe light. I'll try to get you out there just as close to safe light as we can. And like I said, you can have your kayak sitting there ready to launch, but I don't, I'm just taking a number out there at 650. You would push off and go ahead and start out to where you wanted to fish in. You can't be out on the water and say first cast at 650. When I say when it's time to take off, that's when you can leave the bank.
Okay. The next question says, so we know you mentioned that a measuring device is going to be provided. He's asking what is it made of? Do we need to bring something to reinforce it, tape, glue, etc., plastic board or something to put it on?
It does help. It is a hard plastic board, and it's 45 inches long, so it has a little weight to it, so it can sink. You can punch a hole in it on the end of it and tie a string on it or a float on it. And you can also, some people use a little gutter system or whatever you normally use. You could attach that board to it, but you do have to use the board that we provide. So our pictures will show up the same for everybody.
Okay.
You can modify it any way you need to.
The next question is a GoPro allowed to take pictures? I would think that's probably a yes, or.
Yes, you're good with that. You bet.
And can you elaborate on what all needs to be checked at check-in to be eligible for prizes?
Yeah, you're pretty much, the only thing that we are going to probably check would be like we're talking about those contingency programs. I've got to make sure you've had a pin reel that you use that day, or on the boat that you've got, or in the back of your truck. That's pretty much it. Of course, you got to have a life vest. Make sure you got that somewhere available, either in your truck or on your boat, to know that you've had that on throughout the day. But yeah, other than that, pretty much standard. You're good to go on anything else. I don't think there should be anything we have to check out.
Right. Other than the launch picture that we discussed earlier.
Yeah. So, and in that launch picture, you have to have our measuring board, our token, and a picture of the kayak that you're in.
Okay. And then
Tyler, it might be a good idea. It might be a good idea if you put a big sticky note on your kayak. Take launch picture.
Yeah.
Hey, believe me, I've had to DQ people for not having that. And then when you take your picture for your fish for the day, you also have to have your token in there and on the board that we give you. So I've actually had a tournament lost because the guy didn't have a token in there on that picture.
Yeah, I guess when you get caught up in the excitement, you're ready to go. It's early in the morning, you're ready to take off, and last thing you think about doing is taking a picture before you're ready to go.
It's true.
Now, there's some guys out there that'll take pictures every 5 minutes of themselves, but and post them on Facebook. But for a lot of us, it's just I guess if you can remind people, if you're fishing with them, and certainly you're fishing with everybody, I know the first time I fished it, we all kind of looked at each other and someone was like, hey, you make sure you take your launch picture, just because it's something you can forget.
Sure. Yeah. And that's, of course, I'm just barely touching on the rules. They're online. And, if you are going to fish with us, I would encourage you to get online and take a look at all the rules. It is what we go by. And the only thing that I have to make sure we stick to is the rules. I'm pretty black and white on those. It's pretty well written out. But one of those is the communication, basically, no communication devices. Can't talk to your cell phone and your buddy talking back and forth throughout the day. You can verbally talk on the water just between, you guys fishing. As far as talking on your cell phones, that's one thing that's might be different than some other events, but you can't do that.
No, so that's a good point. So I can talk to whoever I'm fishing close to, but I can't pick up the phone and call or text somebody else, say, hey, are you catching any fish in that area? Right. I want to come by.
That's right.
That's subject to being DQ'd.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. That's good.
We'll still allow you to take pictures and do your Facebook stuff out there on the water, but we try to, make sure that locations are kind of, you can't just say, oh, we're taking all these pictures at one spot and you can see what's going on where you're at. We're just trying to keep away from that, but we also want social media involved because that's the way our sport grows.
Sure. So we talked a lot about the kayak division, and just real quick to touch on the boat division, because I know there's some people out there that want to fish both. Tell us basically the differences between the boat division and the kayak division as far as the tournaments.
Yeah, the boater division, of course, they're just fishing for redfish. They'll bring us 2 redfish in the slot 18 to 27, and they're bumping trying to get that 27 inch right under 27, 26, 7/8 inch fish. What they're looking for. Usually, Louisiana is our biggest turnout that we have throughout the year. We just we didn't have 104 boats at Jacksonville, which was really good. Usually we're in the 80s over there, so we had a great turnout at Jacksonville and looking to probably be in the 105 to 120s down here. Hopefully at Lafitte. Hopefully the weekend won't mess us up too bad. But usually get a great turnout. These guys, they know that the championship will be down here in Louisiana. Will be in Venice for the boat championship. So these guys know that that'll be coming up. So they all want to be available to come fish that.
By weight or by inches?
Do what now?
The redfish for the boat division, is it by weight or is it by inches?
Yeah, it's by weight. It'll be 2. It'll be 2 fish, one per person, or 2 fish per team. It'll be by weight. I was just saying.
Those are required to be brought in live?
Yes, yeah, they are. Yeah, we bring those in, and there's a penalty of I'm trying to think here off the top. I think 8 ounces for the first fish if they have a deceased one, and then 2 pounds if they have 2. But they do all they can to keep them alive because it's going to be separated by just ounces on that boat side.
Okay. And unlike the kayak division, I think the boaters all have to launch from the same area. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. We're going to take out on the Jean Lafitte Harbor down there on Saturday morning, and they'll all have to return back there that afternoon. So yeah, we'll all be bunched up there getting ready to leave early on Saturday morning.
Okay. And I guess it's a good thing y'all have the boat division on Saturday rather than Sunday, because if we had the kayak division on Saturday, probably go out and catch all the fish, ruin it for the boaters.
That's right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have anything left.
So, Tyler, do we have any other questions from anybody?
Yeah. So, one person asked if they get on a school of trout, are they allowed to keep any of them, or they have to release their fish during the tournament?
There's a release. Yeah. If you have fish as you bring them in, yeah, we don't need that. But it is just photo and release. So yeah, we try to encourage that.
So and that's a good point. So you're not allowed to keep any of the fish that you catch that day.
Right. That's right.
So nothing to take home to eat for the wife.
That's right. That's not going to be very popular, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. But certainly,
I know you guys in Louisiana don't eat much. I mean, you just eat certain things down there, right?
No, we don't eat a lot, especially not any seafood over here. So, well, I guess at least it solves the problem. You don't have to worry about bringing a fish bag with you. Save some weight on the kayak.
That's right. That's right.
When everybody's hauling across the dam. Now,
somebody asked if they can fish the boating division in their kayak if they follow the boaters' rules.
That's a good question. I hadn't had that one posed, but I don't see why not. You got to take off from the same place, though.
Is that Caitlin?
Francis Tran.
Francis. Okay. Francis is
I want to wait till the end to take off.
So the guys are going to put a live well in the back of their kayak now, and it's amazing the stuff they'll rig up in the back. They'll put a full blown up, rig up ice chest, aerator, keep some redfish back there. But I don't really know if I'd want to launch out of Lafitte in a kayak, especially Lafitte. Maybe some other areas, but Lafitte.
And you guys, when you have your events, so you're talking about y'all's photo release, or y'all bringing them in?
No, everything's by weight. So you can do some. Some people bring in fish with stringers. But what we try to do is spread it out. We only have one that's a shotgun launch, and it's a big area down in Leeville, Louisiana. We did 135 people over there this year.
Wow.
It was a shotgun launch, but Leeville's so big, it's really spread out, and it's a difficult time of the year too because it's January, and people are given 5 baits to fish with. So I think out of 135, we only had 40 people weigh in fish, or it was just under 40, and that's a redfish trout thing. Most of the other times it's spread out enough to where, we'll do a tournament. People can go out and catch fish, and they're in a couple of different areas. You may have 50, 60, 70 people fishing that tournament. So I don't think it puts a big hurting on the area, unlike maybe a boat tournament would.
Right.
If you have 125 boats going out, and they're catching fish and they're keeping them, and and they're putting them on ice, and it's a lot easier to keep boats live in a live well than it is on a boat than it is certainly on a kayak, I think.
Right.
But certainly we have thought about doing CPR tournaments and something like that. So it's something we've given some consideration to going forward. Now you've done a lot of tournament fishing over your lifetime, certainly,
Sure.
and you've been doing IFA. So there's going to be a lot of new people fishing the IFA this year. One of the things we do with Bayou Coast is, we have our Facebook page. We have over 5,000 people on here. We do this podcast now. So we're really trying to spread these tournaments and kind of spread the word and getting people more involved in them, because I think the more involvement they have in these tournaments, the more sponsors come in. The sponsors see, hey, look, we had 2,000 views on a podcast about this, and people are like, hey, I wouldn't mind fishing this tournament, $1,000 payout, redfish. It's a good deal. And sponsors want to come in and they want to sponsor. They want to be a part of that. So it's something really good we do. But is there any tips you can offer anybody fishing these tournaments? I know certainly maybe not location wise, but is there anything you can offer to these people just from what you've seen, maybe mistakes being made in past tournaments that you can offer to these guys to help them out?
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of them over the last couple of years now, and that trout is really important. The guys, I think sometimes it's one with the trout just because they neglect. They go ahead and go after that red, and then that trout ends up catching them at the end. Where if they only have a 13-inch trout and somebody's focused in and caught a 20-inch trout, they can make up the difference on that red. They might be all catching reds that are pretty close to the same length, but that trout seems to always be the difference maker in our tournament so far, what I've seen. So,
oh, okay. Well, that is a good tip.
Important to have you a good area to catch a trout in is I think, one of the most important things.
Especially when you're going for inches, because some of our tournaments is by weight, and so you can literally say, okay, well, if I've got a tournament where it's a 3 redfish tournament and say 10 trout are a little scarce, and you can focus on that weight and catch 3 nice reds that maybe will hit you 20, 21 pounds and not worry about going out and catching 12-inch trout. But if you're going by inches, a 12-inch trout adds 12 inches to any type of length you have. So the difference between a 30-inch redfish and a 35-inch redfish, first place and second place could be a little ding trout.
That's right. Well, that's what happened at Jacksonville. The guy that caught the biggest redfish, I think it was a 38-inch red, he didn't have a trout. And 45 or 46 inches won. So if he had over there, a minimum trout's 15. So, that's what we go by as the minimum limit. So he didn't catch one. But if he would have just caught a minimum trout, he would have won easily.
Okay. Tyler, you said Steve had a question?
Yeah. He says last year they were allowed to stage in the immediate area of busy launches. Is that still acceptable going forward?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. You can stage, but you just can't push off the bank. You can, like I say, you can have your boat ready to go, sitting on the edge of the water, and once that's just using that mark again, 650 mark, you can push off. But yeah, that's what we got that done last year and tried to make it a little easier because when you've got a lot of people putting in at one ramp and it's just busy, it's easier for you guys to be able to be ready to go at the time. And sure, I'm good with that. That worked out good last year.
Okay. Keith, I talked to some people earlier before we got on tonight and asked them if they had any specific questions for you. And some of these guys have been fishing IFA for a long time. They really encourage other anglers to come out and fish. They fish a lot of tournaments. And one of the questions they had, and you and I talked about earlier, has there been any kind of indication or thought processes to maybe going to some type of online meeting where you could print out like an online token so people don't have to go to the captain's meeting. Now, certainly we talked about the advantages of the captain meeting, but also there are some disadvantages for people coming in from out of town. Costs them more money if they have to stay overnight rather than just driving in for the day. Now, I know you're fairly new to the process here, being your second year running it. Is that something that's come up at all, or is that something that y'all are looking at going forward?
Yeah, I haven't had that question posed to me until we're talking about it here. But I'm here to make a difference and try to grow this thing and try to make it have as many boats and guys involved as we can. And we're definitely going to weigh everything that the guys talk about. I know last year when I came in and it kind of happened on the boater side, but we were using a measuring system on our board where we didn't have a slanted board for a measuring board for our redfish. And just throughout the course of the year, I heard several complaints and just it measures different. Everybody else is using this type board. So last year at the championship, I announced we're going to change our board system this year to where we have a slanted board for our guys on the boat side. So yeah, I mean we have to make changes and have to make them to help grow the sport and continue to get bigger and better. So yeah, we'll definitely discuss that. It's for the reasoning of just getting those rules out there and people having clarification and me not having to disqualify somebody. You don't ever want to have to do that, but it happens unfortunately because of rules a lot of times. That's the main reason for the captain's meeting. So if we're able to do something live, Facebook Live or something, we can definitely discuss it. It might, I think that's a great idea, and we'll definitely run it up the flagpole and see what we can come up with.
Just kind of spitballing right here and brainstorming with you guys. One thing I think that certainly I'd be willing to do as an officer with Bayou Coast and is to work with you guys if y'all ever want to maybe team up to do what we can coordinate your tournaments with ours. Where we're coming in because our tournaments always come on a Saturday. IFA Kayak tournaments are on a Sunday. A lot of people come in town. They want to fish the weekend. We get a lot of people coming in from Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. They want to come over here and fish this fishery. Well, we could try to coordinate those dates where we're doing in a similar area. Our tournaments are somewhat flexible, where we can come in and have these people actually fishing our tournament on Saturday and actually scouting for the IFA on that Sunday. So it would work out well if we can do it to where, hey, after the weigh-in over here, you go right into the captain's meeting for IFA, and then boom, you fish in the IFA the tournament the next day. And I think it's a win-win for everybody. We actually were going to try to do that this year. We had already set our date, and we were looking at, because we have a tournament the following weekend, Trout Challenge, in the same general area. We were going to try to move it, but because things were already done and moved and arrangements made, and the fact that it was Mardi Gras weekend, we decided to hold our date till next weekend. But certainly something, if you guys are ever interested, you can certainly reach out to me or Josh Thompson, our current president, to talk about those things. And I think that would be a good effort. I think we could maybe draw more people for both tournaments. Would actually benefit both clubs doing that.
No, that sounds like a good idea. Like I say, it's all about growing the sport and getting more people introduced to it. Like I was talking about earlier, those junior anglers, that's a great way to introduce them to the sport, is to let them get involved and come around. A lot of the dads have brought their kids out in the past, and I've seen them. I'm sure they'll win $100 if they're the highest junior angler finisher and a plaque. So they're excited when they get that done, and that's how we'll go grow the sport for sure. So yeah, we're definitely interested in something like that.
So it's $100 to the junior angler.
Yes, huh?
No, do they have to pay the $50 entry fee?
I'll have to look to be. Man, I looked at so many different lines and rules.
I'm going to bring my daughter with me this weekend and just go catch a trout.
I better do my research there. I have to look online on that. The junior angler. I'm not for sure if there's an entry on that or not, but I'll check it out and see. But yeah, I know I've given that $100 check a couple different times. We usually, sometimes we'll have junior anglers, sometimes we won't. I know we didn't at Jacksonville, but there's been multiple times we've had them in the past. So they're excited to get out there and go fishing with their parents, or even if just a friend, like say you're in the club there, they got young ones that are involved and want to go fishing. It'd be a good time to do it.
Okay. Tyler, do we have any more questions?
No, I think that's covered them all so far.
Okay. Well, I know we're coming up on an hour here. Keith, I wanted to thank you again for spending the time with us. I hope to see you this weekend. I'm going to talk to you about the captain's meeting we discussed. If you could if someone can't make the captain's meeting and they want to try to make some other arrangements, I know it's not a definite, but I know you want to do the best you can to try to get everybody out there. How can they contact you? Or what's the best way to contact you
the best way, I'll just go ahead and give them out my cell phone number. If they want to give me a shout on that, that's going to be the best way to catch up with me.
Okay.
It's 386-402-5534. So if you want to, that's my redfish hotline. So I've got a couple of phones, but that's my redfish phone, and I'll have that one with me all weekend. I'll leave out of Arkansas here Thursday morning real early, and I'll get down to Lafitte Thursday night, and then we'll set up our trailer and get everything ready Friday for our captain's meeting Friday night for the boat tournament. And then, like I said, Saturday after our tournament, our boat tournament, then from 6 to 7 will be registration for the kayak event. And then we'll have the meeting at 7 o'clock there at John Lafitte at the pavilion.
Now, Keith, just because I've had my glass of wine or two, as everyone knows, I'm apt to do during these broadcasts. If you ever get a wild hair and you get bored and you were thinking, you know what, I'd like to have a kayak bass tournament or freshwater tournament here in Arkansas, I think you might get a few people wanting to come up there. Though I've been up there a couple times. The water's beautiful. I know y'all catch some fish. We were talking earlier. You said they catch bass, crappie, walleye. I think you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Walleye. You could do a once a year tournament. Get people all over the state. Do a big entry fee and just have a really good time. Maybe have some families come up there and spend the week up there. It's a beautiful part of the country, especially if you do it somewhere close to hot springs. I think is just a gorgeous area with the natural springs and all that stuff. So.
Well, you could relive some of your childhood and go back to Lake Grease, and we could just go back over there.
Absolutely. Jump off a Chimney Rock again. So
there you go.
That's fantastic. So it'd be great. So keep that in mind. Keith, again, thanks for coming on tonight. To everyone else, if you missed part of tonight's episode, you can check it out on YouTube or Facebook. It's also available on Google and Android and iPhone. Everything is a podcast. Our last 3 episodes are on there. So again, good night, tight lines. If you're fishing this weekend, good luck and stay safe. Keith, we hope to see you out there this weekend.
All right, we'll do it, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. All right. Good.